So do you guys remember these cheap Android tablets that you'd find at Walgreens and CVS back in the early 2010s? This was like the Wild West era of tablets. It seemed like everybody who was anybody was trying to compete with Apple's newly released iPad by putting Android on a device that wasn't really meant to run Android in the first place. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So this right here is the Kairos touchscreen internet tablet for Android from a company called Kobe, which, no joke, I looked it up. This company name was derived by taking the word cowboy and removing 2 letters. Really awesome way to come up with a name. Now, I think you can kind of put these guys in the same category as Craig, who I'm sure all the DankPods fans are very familiar with, because they had a wide selection of budget tech offerings that included pretty much everything you can think of. Headphones, MP3 players, cables, microphones, photo frames, DVD players, TVs, and of course, Android tablets. Tablets that, by the way, run Android 2.1, which is notable because, for those unfamiliar, before the release of Android 3.0, it wasn't really meant to be used on tablets because the OS was not optimized for a larger display. Now that changed in version 3.0, which was a tablet-specific release, and then version 4.0 brought unified support for phones and tablets under one OS release. Now this tablet here predates the release of both of those versions, and back then it was very common to see manufacturers doing this and just trying to make the best of it. I mean, hey, at least it's better than Windows CE, right? Taking a look at the box here, on the front, we've got 2 specifications just slapped on here. I guess they're like super proud of this or something. It's got a 7-inch screen, which hilariously the Kobe website describes as being large. That goes to show you how far we've come with screen sizes since 2010, right? And we have 4 gigabytes of memory. Now that's talking about internal storage, not RAM. I actually don't know how much RAM this thing has because they don't tell you on the spec sheet here or on the website. But just a couple things to point out really quickly here. It has an 800 megahertz ARM-based CPU. It's got a micro SD card slot, so you could expand that 4 gigabytes of internal flash storage. And something that I think actually gives this a pretty notable leg up over the iPad is it has a micro HDMI port for hooking this up to an external display, and apparently you get 1080p HD video out, so you could watch some YouTube videos or go through like a photo slideshow or something like that. I think that's actually a pretty nice feature, but I think you'll agree with me that the iPad does provide a much better usability experience, especially when it comes to the touchscreen. So inside of the box, you've got, of course, that notice that you can call them for tech support. And then you got this notice about the touchscreen, which basically tells you that it sucks, because it kind of does. This is a resistive touchscreen, so you can't touch it like this. You have to use your fingernail if you want to use your finger, but they, of course, recommend using the included stylus, and that should tell you all that you need to know. So here it is. We'll go ahead and pull it out here. We'll set it aside and take a look at this in a moment, and then we'll see all the accessories and things that we have inside. So we've got your power brick. We have a USB cable. We have this adapter here. I'm actually not sure if some of this was just thrown in here by the previous owner at some point, but here are your pair of probably really crappy earphones. We have a microfiber cloth. You have your instruction manual and your limited warranty. Sure, that's going to still be great. And then you've got apparently 35 free MP3s and a free audiobook through eMusic. So I guess you could go there and redeem and get, I mean, I don't know what MP3s they had on this. I guess they have over 6 million songs and 6,000 audiobooks. That's kind of neat. DRM free MP3 tracks. Okay, that's already kind of a leg up over iTunes. And yeah, taking a quick look at the box here, this microfiber cloth looks like it wasn't supposed to be in here. I don't think this little adapter cable was either, but we are missing the protective case, interestingly enough. Also, professional stereo earphones, seriously? You're gonna call these are probably like some awful, I mean, I can just tell, look at these. These are going to be, yeah, we're going to have to put those to the test. Okay, we'll go ahead and set this aside and take a look at the tablet. So full disclosure, I have used this thing a little bit off camera just to get familiar with it. And what I'll say about it is, it's not the worst tablet that I've ever used, but it's definitely not a great one either. When you compare it to the iPad especially, I mean, it's just really inferior all around the board. And I know what you're going to say, well, you can't compare it to the iPad. This didn't cost as much as it. This was actually half the price of the base model first gen iPad. This came in at $250. But according to some articles that I've read, it was apparently like discounted immediately by a bunch of retailers where this was sold. I saw it as low as $150. But let's be honest, everybody was going to compare this to the iPad because the iPad was like the tablet at the time. So even though it's not really a fair comparison, it got compared to it all over the place by various different tech publications. So yeah, you got your touchscreen, you got your home button, if you want to call it that. Definitely feels kind of chunky and, not so great feeling, but it is there. On the bottom is where all your ports live. So from left to right, you've got mini USB, mini HDMI, your headphone jack, micro SD card slot, power port, and power button. You've got two more buttons up here as well for home and menu. And that's right, this is actually not the home button. This is the back button for, going back, because that's what a back button does. So we'll go ahead and plug it in here. I mean, the battery is pretty much shot, so we have to have it plugged in to be able to power it on. Ooh, and there's that old school Android boot up animation. And yeah, the screen, is also not in the greatest condition. I'm assuming that it didn't come like this, but you can really see how, washed out it looks on the corners. Also, the viewing angle is not particularly great either. You do have to be looking, straight on at it to be able to really see anything. It does have an accelerometer built in, so you can, rotate the screen like this, between portrait and landscape. So one thing I realized I forgot to mention is the stylus, which is housed right over here. It is a very cheap quality stylus too. It's like I could probably break this if I put, just enough pressure on it. I mean, you can see it's pretty bendable and yeah, not super good quality, but it is much better to use this with a stylus than trying to tap with your fingernail. At least I find so. Now, for some reason, and I don't know if this was set this way by default or if it was modified by the previous owner, but there is this animated background on the home screen, which is of course just going to eat up memory. Now again, I don't know how much memory this thing has. We'll find out if we can go into settings and see if we can pull up some specs in there. You do have a few applications pinned to the home screen, nothing on the two other pages. If I slide over, we'll go there and there, so you see we have nothing, but we do have our apps drawer here, which we can slide out, and there's the rest of your applications. We'll probably go through all of these throughout this video, and I'm going to see if we can try to sideload some stuff onto here, if I can find some Android 2.1 APKs, but I do want to go into settings. And this is where you can really see how this OS was not meant for a screen size this large, because everything just looks so blown up, like it's not scaled properly for this 7-inch screen. But we'll go not into there because I want to scroll down to the About device. We actually don't, I mean, we see firmware version, we don't see Android version. Maybe that wasn't a separate listing in here. But we'll just go back and we do want to connect this thing to the network, so I'll go into wireless. Alright, there we go, we're online, and a couple other things I want to try. I was trying to enable developer mode, but I guess you don't do that by tapping on the build number a bunch of times like you do in modern Android versions. I think there is probably another setting for that, so let's maybe go into privacy. Okay, so that's your factory data reset. Something also that I found really odd is there is a reset button on the back of the tablet. So you would just, press maybe even the stylus in there, or a paper clip to just, I guess, reset the entire tablet just from doing that, which definitely don't see that every day on a tablet. So let's try applications. So unknown sources, we'll definitely want to enable that. And then development right here. So this is where, yep, USB debugging. We'll want to turn that on. I might mess around with some of this stuff later. I do actually want to turn on stay awake as well, so the screen doesn't go to sleep, and allow mock locations. We can do that if we wanted to. We'll just back out for now. And yeah, so we're online. Let's go back to the home screen here. And I'm curious what this antivirus application is. Is this something that came with Android. No, this is AVG. Did you know you can extend battery life with tune-up? Okay, touchscreen to protect device or click menu to configure. Let's hit the menu button and see what the configuration is. Okay, so can we go to help and about? Yeah, droid security. I mean, I guess this program is not around anymore because it can't find the server, but we can touchscreen to protect device, and it would scan for, you know, malicious packages and stuff. So let's see if it finds anything. This is either from AVG or this is an AVG ad. Oh my gosh, security threat found. What? Your apps contain no security threats. Okay, settings. Oh, your device is set to allow USB debugging. Okay, yeah, well, so you can fix that from here, but there's no actual, like, yeah, no infections, no malicious apps, no infections in media. Okay, yeah, that kind of scared me for a second. I was like, what the heck is on here? So, you have an antivirus. Let's go to the video player and see, okay, well, this just opens a web browser and goes to YouTube. That's literally all that is. Yeah, the date is set. We have to go and change that because it's going to throw up a security warning. 2026. Okay, we get a, what is the certificate? Let's see what it says. Oh, yeah, okay, because it's google.com and it thinks we're going to YouTube. Yeah, we'll just hit OK and just continue. And yep, we immediately redirect to the supported browsers thing, which tells us your device is no longer supported. Please update to Android 4.0 or above to use YouTube. They still support Android 4.0's built-in browser? That's kind of surprising. Because gosh, Android 4.0 was what, like 2011, 2012? Now, AppsLib, this is interesting. They didn't allow you access to the Android market on this tablet for whatever reason. This is like an alternative marketplace. And yeah, I guess it's just been down, you know, for years because it just gives us a server error. So that won't do anything for us. And then this is the ebook reader. Now, there are two ebooks on here. This one is The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And it gives you these tips. You can just turn that off so it doesn't display every single time. But it just tells you like how to navigate around. You can just literally move with the stylus like this and move back and forth. You can scroll a whole bunch if you want to. Again, I really hope that this screen, like that this was damaged at some point and this is not just how it is out of the box, because that's pretty bad if it is. But yeah, so you know, you could download books. Let's actually see if the online catalog still works. Of course not. So yeah, this application's probably been out of support for years, but you can see this was back when like skeuomorphism was still very popular for like mobile interfaces, because this is, you know, it looks like a bookshelf. And then you have email, which is just like the basic, you know, Android mail client, at least from what it looks like. We're not going to bother setting any of that up. Let's see if there's any media in the gallery. I've not gone into here. Looks like there's not. Okay. Music. Do we have any MP3s on here? Recently added, nothing under playlists. Okay, what about just like artists? Nothing. Albums, songs, now playing. Yeah, we got nothing on here, unfortunately. So it doesn't come with any like sample media. Now, what are these other applications? So we have an alarm clock. Is this an Android like native application? It kind of looks like it. Is there, can we get to some about information? Let's see if we hit menu, settings. Alarm in silent mode. I'm guessing this is just a regular like Android built-in application. You got your calibration tool. What is this Eurosport? Like, is this something that would have come on here by default, or is this a game or something that was added on at some point? Alright, according to good old Wikipedia, this is a group of pay television networks in Europe and parts of Asia that operate two main channels. It looks like it quit unexpectedly, so I'm guessing this is not gonna be able to work. Let's try to launch it again and just see what happens. Definitely takes a little bit to open there. No, it just quits and crashes immediately. That kind of sucks. So this might have been something that was added on by the end user, maybe, you know, the previous user of this. Maybe it did come pre-installed, I don't know. And then spare parts, what is this? Okay, is this like a diagnostic program, maybe? Or some more settings? Battery history, battery information, usage statistics, window animations. You can change some of that, okay. Yeah, this is kind of like a more advanced, you know, customization program. You can turn on haptic feedback, show compass and maps. Still nothing about, like, I want to find out how much RAM that this thing has. We don't have any of that information, unfortunately. We've got battery information. But yeah, like I didn't see when we went into settings here and you went down to about device, there was nothing. I mean, you got the model number, the firmware version, build number. You can't tap on any of these to get the RAM information. Now, I did see, if I've not already mentioned this, there was a newer version of this tablet that looks very similar to this one, honestly, that they advertise as having 256 megabytes of RAM. So that could be what this tablet has. The interesting thing about that is that's the same amount of RAM that the first gen iPad has. And also the processor in this thing, actually not that far off from the clock speed of the first gen iPad's processor, which was 1 gigahertz. So, you know, it's not like it's the worst tablet experience in the world, but again, it just really, the touchscreen kind of makes or breaks it. Having to use a stylus and just, it's just not great. Okay, so it's been a little bit since the last clip. I've been trying to mess around with side-loading applications on here, and I've discovered a couple interesting things. First of all, there are actually a few photos on this device. For whatever reason, they didn't show up in the gallery before, but I went back in there after I stopped recording the last clip, and it just all of a sudden had some images in there. But we can view them here. I've got the tablet plugged into my computer, and you see we have these 9 images. All of them are screenshots of Angry Birds. And we can rotate this and zoom in, and I guess we can do this with all the other ones if we really want to. You can see it's super great quality, 320 by 480, so, you know, even a much lower resolution than the actual screen is. And yeah, these images are dated. Well, these ones I just modified, but these are dated May 13th, 2011. What's even more interesting is if we go back here and go into this download folder, there's an Angry Birds APK on here, also dated 2011. Now, just ignore this F-Droid APK. This I copied over to here. You can see I did get F-Droid working on the tablet, but I actually had to use the Android debug bridge to install it because you can't browse the local files on this device. There's no file browser. Even going into the web browser and using file : / like some posts said online, you could browse to the SD card, or at least try to, but it would warn you and say, this is a directory, so it can't be displayed. So that didn't work. So we'll take a look at F-Droid in a minute because I want to see if we can successfully download something through it. Believe it or not, they still host this super old version for Android 2.1, even going all the way back to Android 1.5. And you can enable the F-Droid archive repository in the app and supposedly get access to older APKs. So we're going to try this out in a moment, but what I want to do here is just copy over this Android or this Angry Birds APK to the desktop, and then I'm going to go over here to the tablet and go into settings, and we're going to re-enable the debug mode. So we'll go settings. Also, by the way, I've noticed that you can totally just use your fingertip to navigate around in here. I mean, it does work, but I mean, using the stylus is still preferred for sure. So let's go into, where was it? It was, oh my gosh. Okay, now I'm kind of regretting what I'm saying. It was under Applications, Development, USB Debugging. And then back on the computer here, I've got a command prompt window open. We've browsed to the Platform Tools folder. So I'm going to run adb install, and then the directory is on our desktop, and it's Angry Birds, if I can spell right, .apk. There we go. Let's see if it works. Performing push install. Success. There we go. Perfect. So let's go into our apps, and there it is, Angry Birds. So let's run this, and I don't know what version this is, but the APK is dated 2011, so that's when it was last modified anyway. Okay, well, it looks like we're missing like 2 buttons down here, like the images for it. Like, what? Oh my god, yeah, look at all these assets that are missing. Yeah, like, what the heck, man? This is crazy. Like, you can't read any of this. So, okay, I guess we'll go in here and hit this one. And, I mean, are these, oh, maybe like these are locked or something. Is this? Yeah. So that's the only level in that level pack that we can access. And I assume this says loading. Okay, well, at least we have some graphics. Also, I guess we should be playing this with the stylus to get the full experience here. So let me pull this out. And, like, this is... This is crazy. Like, what is this? Corrupted Angry Birds? I mean, jeez. Well, it seems like the actual game, like all these assets are fine. So that's good. We can still play the game, but oh my god, like what the heck? So something's up with this APK. Or it's just, you know, it can't find some files it needs? Like, gosh. It's been like forever since I've played Angry Birds 2. So... Okay, and look, he was saying, yeah, he was saying something, couldn't read what he said, and then I guess we just cleared the level. So I'm gonna assume that this is next? Okay. So... I mean, that's good. Like, we can play the game. But, good luck trying to, you know, browse through the level you want on the menu, unless you've just memorized, like, what every level looks like. So, yeah, that's Corrupted Angry Birds, I guess, running on this thing. And I don't know what version this is. We're probably not going to be able to figure out what version it is, because this is supposed to be text right here. This is probably the credits or something going through. Can't read any of it. So, cool. That's Angry Birds. Now what I want to do is go into the F-Droid application and see if we can download stuff from that, like, archived repository. Because this does load up, and so if we go to the menu, that's not the menu. I'm still getting used to which button is which up here. The right side is the menu. So we'll go here, go to repositories, and turn on F-Droid Archive. We can probably just turn off the regular F-Droid one, because we're not going to be able to get any of the apps. Like, I'm just going to assume that, you know, they're all just newer APKs that we can't use. So, there we go. I guess we hit Update Repos. And it stopped unexpectedly. Okay, that's no fun. Okay, it looks like it relaunched. Let's try that again. So, repositories. Maybe we'll keep the F-Droid one on. And then update repos. And it stopped unexpectedly again. It has never completed a refresh, because you can see under available, it shows no apps in this category. And of course, nothing installed. But let's just go to all, maybe. And hit refresh. See if this works. No. Well, let me see if I can find some other APKs, you know, at least something. Alright, well, I found this website called APK Mirror, which looks to have a huge archive of APKs for a whole bunch of different Android versions, and they have this advanced search where you can specify a minimum and maximum version. So I've got that set to 2.1, and I just did a blank search, and there's a lot of applications. I mean, look, 160 pages of Android applications, and some of these, surprisingly, have pretty recent last updated dates. I mean, all these here are 2022. Let's just go to a random page. 2017. Okay, 2016, that's getting a little bit older. Yeah, 2016 was 10 years ago. Gosh, I don't even want to think about that. So what I want to do is find a file manager. So we're just going to do a search for file here. I want to see if we can download this and then download some other APKs, and then try to go into the file manager to install those APKs on the device. If that doesn't work, then we can just use the Android debug bridge to install them that way. So I guess we're going to go with this FX File Explorer. We'll just get the most recent one, 5.1.5.1 from July 7th, 2017. That looks to be the most recent date. There we go, scanning new software. So that copied over. So it's clean, that's awesome. Here's FX, let's open this up. Now I did copy a couple of MP3s over to the SD card. So I want to see if we can browse to that in here. And I do want to test out these headphones. Or, well, just blast some music through it and, you know, listen to how horrible they sound. Anyway, we'll accept the license agreement. So we have SD card, we can go in there. And there's our two MP3s, and there is the APK for F-Droid. So what happens if we just tap on this? Package installer. Okay, so it does open up. That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, we can just copy over APKs to here. The Angry Birds one, I think, yeah, was in downloads. Or just download, actually. And again, there's, I copied F-Droid over to the internal storage as well. So what I'm gonna do is go up here to our little notification center. We are going to disable USB debugging. And then I'm just going to copy. I think we have to just disconnect and reconnect it. And then we do have to go up here and choose this, mount, and there we go. Perfect. So I'm just going to go into this download folder and we'll just drag these APKs over here. What do we want to install first? Why don't we do Google Earth? So it'll bring up the package installer. Do you want to install this application? Yes. Application not installed? What? It failed to install? Let's try YouTube. Replace application. Okay, so I guess it's going to replace the existing YouTube one. And, I mean, we'll see if this is like an actual YouTube client. Application not installed. Okay, so maybe we don't have permissions or something? Oh, well, Winamp worked just fine. I wonder if those two Google ones are like, because they like, I mean, I think Google Earth might have come with these old versions of Android, or at least some configurations of it. Maybe that's why it's like having a problem, because it's, you know, at least with the YouTube one, it had to overwrite the existing YouTube application, and we don't have permission to do that. We might have to have root access to be able to install that successfully. So we'll see if we can do that through the Android debug bridge. But we got Winamp, so we can open this up. Ooh, it's a beta version. So we can play Rest by Otis McDonald, also known as the MJD time-lapse music, because I do use this pretty well, actually not as often as I used to. I haven't been doing a lot of time-lapse lately. Maybe I'll have to change that. So I guess, since we're here, we might as well pull out these earbuds and plug them in and just kind of see the level of quality that we get. That is not the headphone jack. That is right here. All right, I mean, they sound like, you know, crappy earphones. I mean, I always say this, I'm not an audiophile. Like, I'm not really the greatest authority on, like, if, you know, like, how this sounds compared to other things. Like, I can tell these are, like, pretty low-quality earphones. That's about all I can say. I don't want to intentionally, like, try and blow these out. I could hook it up to, you know, my computer over here and crank up the volume dial. But yeah, I mean, you know, they sound. Oh, and yeah, now let's go ahead and pause this so we're not so I'm not having to talk over that. But yeah, I mean, you know, you got some pretty, you know, expected quality earphones, I would say, for the price that you would have paid for this thing. Or maybe not. Maybe you would have expected to get something of better quality. But, yeah, anyways. So, those are the earphones. And, oh yeah, the two other APKs. So, let's go back to the file manager. I just want to try to run through those again. And if they don't install, we'll just do it through the Android debug bridge. So, let's go to download. Let's try the YouTube one. So, yes, replace application, install. I don't see why it would do anything different. It's probably just going to fail again. Yep, not installed. Let's try Google Earth again. It did install, so let's go back to the computer. Okay, I've re-enabled USB debugging. We've got the device hooked up to the computer. So let's run adb install, and then I just called this one earth.apk. So let's see if that works. Install failed, invalid APK. So yeah, I guess it doesn't like that very much. Well, let's try YouTube and see if that does anything. Install failed already exists. Okay, so this is, again, having trouble overriding the existing YouTube video player. So can we remove APKs? Okay, I do see uninstall in here, and I did look up how to list the packages because we have to get the exact name of this one. So it's adb shell pm list packages. So it should be like com.android or com.google.youtube, or maybe it's just my video player. Is that it? Because I mean that has to be a different name. Like I would assume the name of the YouTube package is just com.android.youtube or com.android.google.youtube or something like that. Oh, there it is. Yeah, com.google.android.youtube. Do you need root access to remove like the bundled applications? I wonder if you do. Okay, check this out. This is interesting. So the video player is the My Video Player application. It's not the YouTube application, but I don't see the YouTube application in here. Like, this is in the System Apps folder on the, you know, we're just browsing in the file manager right now. And yeah, I don't see one called YouTube. Oh, there it is. com.google.android.youtube. It shows up as sysdev. Let's see what happens if we try to, like, okay, copy APK. Okay, so we can do that. So we can copy it and, you know, get it over to the computer. If we like go back here and just paste it in like the download folder. But in terms of deleting it from here, that we're not going to be able to do because I guess we need root access. I mean, I did see if you go into system, of course it will, you know, yell at you about like you need to have root access to do certain things. If you go into the data folder and app, which are where the system applications are stored according to what I looked up, it just says access was denied. And I mean, you saw when I tried to run the uninstall command from the ADB bridge, you know, it failed. So yeah, I guess we are kind of at a standstill with that, at least for now, because this video has definitely gone on a little bit longer than I intended. But hey, this was kind of fun. I mean, messing around with this old Android version using the Android debug bridge. I had never done that before, so that's kind of neat. Overall, what I'll say about this tablet, it's definitely not the worst tablet experience out there, but like I said earlier, it's not particularly great either. I have noticed some slowdowns, you know, going through here, and especially like using the stylus to perform gestures like sliding down, that can sometimes be a problem. So, you know, it's definitely not going to be like the greatest experience out there, but for $150, if you could get this on sale back then, and you just wanted something to like read books or, you know, browse the web or whatever, if you weren't really doing a whole lot, maybe this would have been worth it. I mean, I hesitate to recommend it just because of like it being an Android device before tablet Android was officially a thing. But hey, if you had one of these back then, or if you know, owned another one of these pre-Android Honeycomb tablets, I'd love to hear what your experience was like, because I mean, I'm sure you have a wide variety of, you know, different experiences depending on how good the hardware was. But there you have it, guys. That is pretty much going to wrap it up for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, definitely be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, maybe consider becoming a patron or a channel member to get early access to these videos before anybody else. But either way, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.